Good afternoon. This is Freddie Ziegler from the National Weather Service office here in Slidell, the National Weather Service Forecast Office, New Orleans, Baton Rouge. And this is the briefing for September 19th, 2019. Some of the things I want to cover as far as going into next week, at least for southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, the tropics remain very active, but no impacts expected on the central Gulf Coast. Do have a few strong storms expected, possible this afternoon and possibly Friday. There's a backdoor weak cold front expected to approach the area, the region from the northeast. Into the weekend, we're expecting a moderate easterly flow to develop over the marine zones, and that's going to possibly pile up some water on some of those eastward facing shores. And looking at tide levels, probably a half a foot to 1 foot above normal. And again, no real cold front expected for the next 7 days, and we're expecting temperatures to remain well above normal. Here's some threats for the 7 days, and it's kind of an outlook. And the main impacts we're expecting, again, the marine winds expected to be out of the east over the weekend. Expected to raise those tide levels up to half a foot to a foot above normal in the coastal areas, and there may be some not coastal flooding, but definitely some issues that may occur there. And the heat expected to be with us even early on into the first week of fall. We're expecting heat indices right around 100 to possibly 105 through Saturday, and possibly from near 105 Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Here's a 2-day outlook of the tropical weather and the Atlantic Basin, and as you can see, there are actually 4 systems in the Atlantic Basin, not counting the remnant Melda that's over southeast Texas and western Louisiana. It's causing a lot of flooding issues across that area. For us, even though the Atlantic Basin is very busy, we will remain quiet. Jerry is expected to continue to track to the northwest and then continue northward over the next 5 to 7 days. And then the other 2 systems, they talk about the one system that's south of Hispaniola. It's going to be facing some hostile winds and not expected to live beyond day 2 or day 3 going into the weekend. And then the other system that's out in the middle of the middle of the Atlantic, between the Lesser Antilles and Africa, expected to continue the westward track and encounter some hostile northeast winds. Shears off the top of the tropical system going into day 4 through 7. That's into next week, so not expected to live beyond Sunday. We talked about one of the main things that's going to be occurring, and that's the temperatures. We're expected to remain above normal, and there's a high probability of temperatures remaining above normal. Baton Rouge, Macomb, those areas as far as overnight lows are averaging around 63 to 64, and we are nowhere near that. Temperatures are going to be around 5 degrees above normal. And this, even with this pattern that we have in place, a ridge setting up over the lower Mississippi Valley and the Mississippi Valley, we're expecting a prolonged heat at least through the first week of fall. Even the outlook for day 8 through 14, the outlook looks above normal. Again, active tropics, but no impacts for southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi. A few strong storms with the main threat of gusty winds possible this afternoon and Friday. East flow established over the marine zones through the weekend, and temperatures remaining above normal next week and possibly early October. That's all I have for September 19th weekly weather review.